When a business gets evaluated for sale, one of the top areas it looked at is pricing inside of the organization, where they're at, what they're selling for. So what does this have to do with you and your business today, whether you're going to sell or not? This is a fantastic question. I'm Scott Sylvan coming to you live from Consulting Secrets on a perfect day to talk about sales, growth, opportunity, pricing strategy, and a fantastic day to talk about you, especially when it comes to margin expansion. So let's say for a minute that you're like, hey, Scott, I'm going to raise my hand. I want to be more profitable. I want to be more profitable in my business. What do we do? Well, one of the places that you can start is with a pricing audit. And then you're going to compare the margins across products and services. This is going to take some work. It might take you, let's say 3 days. Let's say 2 days. Let's say 1 day. 1 to 3 days is what this is going to take you. And what you're going to do is you're going to take a look at your offering. You're just going to make a list. What do we offer? Okay. And then if we do offer it at full price, what kind of margins do we get from it? So if we got 3 products, we're going to say of those 3 products, which one is the most profitable for us to achieve? Now, profit sometimes gets confused based upon what it takes to make that profit. So on the offset, sometimes you'll take a look at a product or service, and we're going to give you random numbers. It's $100,000. And you could take a look at it and say, well, on its front face, we make 20 grand on this. But the question is, do you really make 20 grand on it? Is there fulfillment on the back end that needs to be taken care of? Is there custom work on the back end that needs to be taken care of that actually chews into that you've never considered? So mapping this out really takes some effort on your part. It's a good conversation. It's something to talk about with the team and say, okay, we're going to do the sales process. Salesperson sells the product, the service, the widget, or the gizmo. And then what happens next? 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 And then sometimes what you find out is you're like, I had no idea that we were spending so much time on a product or service. So this takes some effort on your part. And for each line, what you really want to do is you could grab a piece of paper, and you could do this on a piece of paper. You could do it on butcher paper. You could do it 3x5 index cards. You could do it with sticky notes. There's a lot of different ways for you to achieve this. Okay, there is. And then what you're going to do is you're going to take a look at pricing, value-based models, tiered pricing, and then have conversations with the sales team. You're like, hey, here's the band of what you can sell for, and here's how the discounting works. And you're really going to want to pay attention to the mix of what you're selling. So if you just go in and say, hey, here's the band and here's what you're going to get, that could be the wrong conversation. The better conversation could look like this. Hey, our main role and responsibility is to have a mix, that this one product or service is 70% of our revenue. And then does it have automatic renewals? Is it monthly reoccurring revenue? Is it automatically billed and charged? Is it automatically renewed? Like, these are all the questions to have around it, and talk to the team like, hey, here's what we want to see. This product is going to be 70% of the mix. This one's going to be 15, and this one's going to be 15. That's how you're going to be evaluated. That's how the performance is going to be checked. On this list, to an extent, you do want to see where your competition is. In my belief, you should always be more, right? This is how I think. It doesn't mean it's how you think. This is my version of Kung Fu. Like, you can come back with your version of Taekwondo. I just believe that if you're going to sell something in the marketplace, you should absolutely be the most expensive, just because everybody automatically complains about price anyway. So if everybody's going to automatically complain about price, you might as well be the highest price, because they're going to complain about it anyway. And then you take a look and you see where the competition's at. And if you're higher than them, yay you. If you're lower than them, it gives you the opportunity to say, how much higher could we go? What is the opportunity we have here in the business? And then tied to this, you say on X date, and an X date means this: on January 1st, on March 15th, on June 30th, whatever the day is, that's your automatic renewal date for adjusting the price up, right? So historically, that inflation has been somewhere around 3.5 to 3.7%. So that would mean automatically, with historic numbers and historic trends, there's going to be at least a 4% price increase every year. That's not even including the cost of goods. That doesn't even cover your COGS. So if you're taking a look at it and you're like, okay, what can I do from here? Like price increases, you're going to have a price increase committee. And the number has got to be, in my version, in my belief, the number's got to be above 4% automatically. And here's the thing. The people who are against this the most, just so you know, are the people who have to answer the phones or answer the emails or answer the chats and get the complaints. And it's about, every time I've run this, about 3 to 5% of people who are upset, hey, you've increased my price. It should be scripted. It should be explained in the sales process. Hey, one of the things that you need to know is there's going to be an automatic update and price increase. It happens every year. And if this conversation's not had, then what happens is you get a bunch of phone calls. People call up and they're mad, they're angry. You've increased my price. Yeah, it was in your agreement. We talked about that. That was part of the sales process. That's what you need to know. You need to reduce the discounts that erode the margins without justification. I managed a sales team that was doing, when I left, right at about 50 million a year. There was 22 salespeople on the team. There was a total of 260 people inside of the company, but I managed the sales team. And what I did was I took a look at the salespeople in general, and I figured out who got the most complaints. My number, I wouldn't count this as 100% empirical data, but this plays out in a lot of companies that I take a look at. Who got the most amount of complaints were the people who discounted the most to get the jobs. Now, if they were the biggest salesperson on the team, meaning they sold the most amount of jobs, of course, they're probably going to have more complaints than anybody else. But it wasn't always the case. So out of 22 salespeople, I had two salespeople who had the most amount of complaints, and they had the least profitable jobs across the board, right? So they were the weakest salespeople on the team. They were always calling and asking for help. They always needed somebody to close the deal for them. They always, and it was never ending. And so there were decisions that had to be made. Like, do we keep these people or not? Well, you tell me, if you've got 22 salespeople and 2 of them are the biggest problem child and children, their jobs are not profitable, they lead to the most amount of complaints that the management has to take care of, what do you do? It should be an easy decision. You can bundle your services or products to increase your perceived value. Like, how do you increase the perceived value? You bundle products and services. And then you track your gross margin across the product lines. What lines are the most profitable? And what market do you really serve? Like, sometimes running this exercise, we'll find that somebody has like 4 different products that they offer, and one of them leads to the most amount of complaints. It's the least profitable. It's the biggest drag on the business, and everybody hates those clients. And that may be a sign from the freaking business gods, right? They're raining down on top of you saying this is the wrong market. Let your competitor deal in that market. I don't know your specifics. So you do want to dig in and you want to take a look. And then you want to align your pricing strategy with your long-term profitability goals. What do you got to do to be profitable? And like I mentioned, sometimes it's the salesperson. You got to go, sales dude, sales chick, I'm sorry. You got to go. There you go. You got one thing to do, 3 things. One of 3 things to do from here. Find the subscribe button, like this video, leave a comment. We'll see you soon. Thanks for watching.